This video is a tutorial on counting cells in Excel using the functions count, CountA, CountBlank, CountIf, and CountIfs. The count function counts the number of cells in a range that have numbers in them. CountA function counts the number of cells in a range which have any value in them whatsoever, not just numbers. The CountBlank function counts the number of cells in a range which are completely empty. CountIf function counts the number of cells in a range which meet a criteria of your specification, and the CountIfs function counts the number of cells in a range which meet multiple criteria of your specification. Our first function, the count function, takes multiple inputs and adds up the number of inputs that are numbers. The most common use of this function will be by far for ranges of data rather than listing individual values. In this example on the left here, I have a shop which sells multiple different products. And imagine a scenario where I need to know how many different products have been purchased at least once. In order to do this, I'd count up all the numbers in the quantity column that have at least one number in them. Let's write our count function now. So equals count, and then I'll start my range at D2 and bring it down to D12. So you see it's highlighted that section of the column. Returning on that gives us a value of 6 because it's counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the values with numbers in them. It's skipped the blanks and it's skipped the dashes because these are not numbers. Next, we'll look at the CountA function. Very similar to the count function, except it will count any value, not just numbers. So in this case, we'd expect it to also include these two dashes here to give us a total value of 8. And I'll demonstrate that really quickly now. Count A, and then we'll do D2 through D12 again, and that gives us our value of 8. Counting cells like this is quite useful, and because of this, Excel gives us a shortcut for it. If I highlight the data range that I want to count, it brings up an icon in the bottom right to give us the quick analysis menu. Navigating to the totals gives us a choice of functions: sum, average, count. In this case, we're going for count. However, one thing to note is that counterintuitively, it's called count, but it actually gives the CountA function rather than the count function. But as you see, it's given us our value of 8 at the bottom of the quantity column. Our third function is going to be the CountBlank function. This, as the name suggests, counts the blank cells. It's effectively the opposite of the CountA function, which counts non-blank cells, any cell with a value in them. I'll quickly demonstrate now. So it equals count blank, and I'll use the same data range as I did before, so D2 through D12. Hitting return on that gives us a value of 3 because it has counted 3 blank cells between each of the pieces of data. And because the CountBlank function is the opposite of the CountA function, what you may notice is 8 plus 3 is 11, which gives us the total size of our data range, 11 cells. So anything that is counted by the A function is not counted by the blank function, and vice versa. The next function for us to look at is the CountIf function. This counts cells similar to the count function, except it allows us to filter out certain cells based on a criteria of our choosing. If we take a look at it, the CountIf function that is, you'll see that it has two inputs, the range and the criteria. In our example, let's say I work in the electronic department of the shop, so I'm only interested in the electronic products. How could I set up my CountIf function to filter out everything that is not an electronic product? Well, my range is going to be, in this case, the A column, so I'll do A2 through A12. And I'm going to be filtering out anything that is not electronic. So in here, my criteria will be the word electronic. If I return on that, you see it's given us a value of 3. Reason being, it's counted these 3 here, these electronic products. What if we wanted to filter not only on the category of the product, but also the quantity sold? That way we know which items need replacing, anything from our electronics department which has sold at least 10 items, let's say. If I wanted to do this, the CountIf function isn't going to be particularly useful because it only allows us to specify one criteria. What I need is one which allows us to specify multiple. In this case, the CountIfs function will allow us to use multiple criteria to filter on. Let's start writing our CountIfs function now. So equals CountIfs brackets. What you'll notice about this one is it has two inputs as before, criteria range 1 and criteria 1, followed by dot dot dot. So this allows you to add additional pairs of input. So criteria range 2, criteria 2, and so on and so forth. I'll start with the same range and criteria as I did before, so A2 through A12. That gives us our category column, and then I'm going to be searching for electronic in the quotation marks again. If I return on that, it once again gives us a value of 3 because we are effectively doing the same search as we did in our CountIf function. Now we can apply our second criteria. In this case, we're looking at the quantity column, so I will do our range as D2 through D12. And what we're filtering on is anything that exceeds 10. So we're going to be looking at greater than 10. Once again, this is within quotation marks. If I return on that, it gives us a value of 1. Reason being, these first 3 electronic products meet the first criteria. However, the headphones and TV do not meet the quantity criteria because they do not exceed 10. Our only legitimate value is batteries because it is both electronic and it has a quantity greater than 10. That's everything for this tutorial on counting in Excel. I hope this video was helpful for you all. These functions are pretty useful functions and they see widespread use. I'll leave links to further resources on these functions for those of you that need it, and thanks everyone for watching.